Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
And welcome to the Infowars Nightly News. I'm Joe Biggs, and today we have a very special guest. We actually have Caro Higbie, a former Navy SEAL whose book just came out yesterday, Enemies Foreign and Domestic. And joining with me in studio is his co-author, Brandon Caro. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So, Brandon, you got involved with Carl Howe. Tell us a little bit about that.
So we're both from the same town, Greenwich, Connecticut. We actually both went into the military around the same time, 2004. And this was years later. I guess it was like 13 or 14, something like that. And we have a mutual friend. And I was out to dinner with her. And I didn't know Carl at the time, but I knew who he was. And she was like, "Did you hear what happened to Caro Higbie?" And I was like, "No, what happened?" And she was like, "Oh, well, he got, dishonorably discharged." That's what she said. Obviously, that's not what happened, but that was her interpretation or her understanding of what happened. And I was like, "For what? What did he do?" Because, I served also. I'm a veteran, and I realized that to have your discharge downgraded, it's a very, very serious thing. So I was like, what did he do? And it usually is about conduct. You did something wrong, you behaved inappropriately. And she was like, well, he went on Fox News and he made critical comments about the Obama administration. And I was like, but that's not against the law, Yeah,
but that's what we're seeing, though,
right
here in Obama's America, that you can't be critical, you can't be honest, you can't tell people what's really going on because it could be offensive.
Sure.
Or it could actually pull back the curtain and show what's really going on with our government, with our commander-in-chief or lack thereof. So that's what I want to get into, Carl. What happened to you and what made you say the things you said? I mean, what did you notice with the Obama administration and your deployments?
Well, there was two fundamental issues here. And I'll go out and first say that the Obama administration, the amount of money and resources they spent to try to prosecute me, which they ultimately lost in the long run anyway, would have been much better served to fix the problem rather than try to cover it up. But what really pushed me to write Enemies Foreign and Domestic was during my second deployment, I had a friend of mine get killed because of rules of engagement. He was a bomb technician, and he was ordered to remove explosive material, and it ultimately killed him, and it was against his better judgment. Additionally, myself and my teammates were court-martialed for prisoner abuse after catching the second most wanted man in the world behind Osama bin Laden. And we brought him back, not a shot fired. He bit his lip, spit blood on himself, and told our high-ups that he had been abused by us. Now,
and that's the Butcher of Fallujah, correct?
Butcher of Fallujah.
Yeah, patently false. And so all that had transpired, and what we did was eventually is they tried to general's mass us, which is non-judicial punishment. At that point, we requested a court-martial so we'd have this thing called evidence in our favor, and went to court, tried our case. We were all acquitted, and it really pushed me into the political sphere to say, hey, there's some serious technical difficulties with the military, the chain of command, and also up to the White House. So I published my first book, Battle on the Home Front, and Enemies Foreign and Domestic, the second book, is a firsthand account of me taking on the administration single-handedly, and with the help of Guy Rushenthaler, my attorney, who's now a state senator in PA, we were able to defeat them. They tried to take away my honorable discharge after I was already out of the military, and which is
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely illegal. We took them on. We beat them in a 5-0 appellate court decision in my favor, reissuing my honorable discharge and making sure that we had all the good marks back in my record. So this book is a true account of how to take on the thing, right versus might. The little guy, David and Goliath, coming through, and it's a message to people out there, and it's a message to the administration that we will not sit silently as a populace.
I mean, I'm so fascinated by all this because I was in the Army, I was in the 82nd Airborne, and I saw corruption at the lower levels. I was asked to do things that were, went against my better judgment. A lot of times I was like, I'm not going to be a part of this. And I was always curious, was this happening at your level, at that special ops? And it's interesting to see all this stuff coming out now, with Benghazi, 13 hours, hearing your story about this, how they're trying to change it. It's amazing how much corruption's going on and how much they are trying to cover up.
It's incredible. And the funny thing is they are spending more resources, like I said earlier, trying to cover these problems up rather than just saying, oh, you know what, troops, if you're on the outer wall, maybe you should keep your guns loaded because the TTPs wouldn't let us do that. Maybe you should just kill bad guys rather than try to win their hearts and minds. I mean, these are fundamental things that even the common person who hasn't served understands why can't the administration get through their heads?
Yeah, I think when we were working on this book, we started working on it in early 2014. It was before the big ISIS push in Fallujah. It was before they took Fallujah. And in the book, we talk about on Carl's second deployment how they had intel on high-level guys in the opposition, in Al-Qaeda and in other terror networks that they couldn't get mission approval for. And now, in all likelihood, those people are members of the ISIS administration.
So you feel that these guys are kind of helping hiding some of these guys to let them flourish?
When we were over there in 2009, we began the pullout and the withdrawal prematurely. What happened was these targets that we were supposed to action, that we were over there to get, the Obama administration started ignoring them. They said, well, there's no more war anymore. We've won the war. We're bringing our troops home. The fact of the matter is the enemy gets a say on whether or not you've won or lost the war, and they were not done yet. So we just left the job half finished, and a lot of these troops were able to go back, and they are the foundation of ISIS. They're Saddam dissidents or previous Saddam army people, and they're the fundamentals of why that region is devolving, is because we let them go. We didn't go get them because the administration was too fairy-handed to want to go get them.
Yeah, it's interesting. Brandon shared an article with me the other day about some other things you're dealing with as well in your own personal life. Tell us a little bit more about that as well, with regards to guns and all that.
Well, actually, there was an article recently published in the Washington Post, is what you're talking about. I was separating from my ex-wife, and the fact is, I don't want to demonize her. She's the mother of my child, but what she did was, in an emotional feat, was try to ban me from owning firearms around my daughter. Now, I have no criminal record. I'm a poster child for the NRA. And I fought it tooth and nail. And the fact is, it was originally a judge that upheld it and made an took her emotional plea and said, I don't want him to own guns around the child for the sake of, the better judgment for all. And we challenged, we won. Now, the problem here is that when you have somebody who's trained like I am, or even if somebody who's not trained like I am, there's no just cause to remove firearm rights under the Second Amendment, Article 1, Section 15 of the Connecticut Constitution, and also local state laws. I wasn't doing anything wrong. And this was a big challenge. And I think the Second Amendment is being greatly challenged in the family courts. It's being used as leverage to over custody for fathers. And we fought, and we had Rachel Baird. She's a big-time attorney for the NRA. We also had Beverly Krieger, who stepped up and really took this case by the horns and said, you know what, you can't remove someone's right to drive just because they may have had an accident. You definitely can't remove someone's right to own a firearm simply because it's an emotional plea. And it's being done across the country, but we need to make sure that this is precedent now, because we set the tone, says you can't do this anymore.
Yeah, indeed. Well, since we're in a political time right now, we have some elections coming up. There's a lot of different candidates. Who does Carl Higbie like? Well,
Carl Higbie, in all fairness, is a Donald Trump national surrogate. So I'm obviously a Donald Trump fan. I think he's the right man for the job. And he doesn't mince words. He says what he means what he says. And I think he'll do the right thing across the board.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like having someone like this that's going to come out and not be politically correct and, smash through a lot of this stuff, bring a lot of these things to the forefront, the 28 pages, talking about, hopefully prosecuting Hillary Clinton. She deserves to be in jail. She's one of the most evil people I've ever, heard of, seen, that's a public figure. It's just astounding to see someone like that that's able to run for president, and the FBI is looking into her, and yet people still will vote for her.
America can survive a Barack Obama. They can survive a Hillary Clinton or Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders. But what they cannot survive is an electorate dumb enough to keep electing these people who sell them down the river. The Democrats have been running on the fact that this is a racist nation for, the last 30 or 40 years. The fact is, we are the least racist nation ever. And if there's anything racist about this country, it's the Democratic Party, the same party that, 150 to 160 years ago traded in a steady stream of housing and food in exchange for labor. Now, that same Democratic Party trades, WIC cards, food stamps, and federal housing, so housing and food, in a steady exchange for votes. We need to examine and do a history check on which party stands for what. And I think that's what the American populace is forgetting.
All right. Well, thank you, Carl, for joining us, and Brandon as well. Your book just came out yesterday again. Make sure you go pick it up. Enemies Foreign and Domestic, a SEAL story by Caro Higbie and Brandon Caro. So thank you for joining us tonight on the Infowars Nightly News. I'm Joe Biggs.
A lot of people ask me, what is the most important area of Infowars that runs the whole operation that is having such a big effect against the globalists? And I've said it over and over again, it is you, the listeners and the viewers, that send us the intel, the news tips, that support the broadcast, that spread the word. You are 90% of the operation or more. You don't stand beside us, you stand at the heart of Infowars. When I talk about the people at Infowars, from customer service, the shipping department, being just as important as our anchors, our researchers, our investigative journalists, and myself, it's absolutely true. Without this team that we've built over the last 20 plus years, we wouldn't be able to do any of what we've been doing. And that's what's so exciting, because we finally built up to a point where we now have the launch pad. Introducing AutoShip for InfoWarsLife.com, a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWarsStore.com products. Again, ladies and gentlemen, when products are sold out, you're unable to get them, sometimes for months, but we hold back the products for people that have already signed up for AutoShip. When you choose AutoShip before checkout on your order at InfoWarsStore.com, we'll give you 10% off and give you guaranteed delivery of out-of-stock products that are on your AutoShip list. Plus, we're giving you free shipping on all orders above $50. Listeners have been requesting this for years because it's so easy to forget to reorder the products when you need them each month. Now it's finally here. AutoShip at InfoWarsStore.com and InfoWarsLife.com. It's easy. Go to InfoWarsStore.com, select your favorite product, click on the AutoShip, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. As you know, I coined the term 360 win, and with the new AutoShip feature at InfoWarsLife.com, it's a sure win. You add to that free shipping on orders of $50, it is a can't lose. Visit InfoWarsStore.com and save 10% off on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting AutoShip at checkout and get free shipping on all orders above $50. That's InfoWarsStore.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.